Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, July 24th, 2018, here on the Rancho, and good morning to each and every one of you. First things first, hope you've enjoying and are enjoying the four-part playlist now. It's in a playlist, a four-part fishing trip for the salmon, nailing 50 pounds of salmon. And Missy Jen, you saw the, what did you think? The trip, the music?
Very impressive. And Rosie Girl has, of course, once again, really nicely captured the trip with the camera and then edited nicely with music and everything. So check it out, give them all a thumbs up, and leave a nice comment.
Yeah, just sit there and push, you know, get your dinner on the table, just push the playlist, and just sit back and enjoy the four-part series. In total, it is about 35 minutes long, and I think you'll enjoy it. We also had your first trip up on the Russian River for a little bit of fun on the river. Yeah. You got a little bit of burn, but you had a good time, didn't you?
Kind of like...
Yeah, a little bit of color looks good, but we had a good time.
See this is all like, but it was good. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go back there and do that a few more times in the summer. And every time we go, we get a little more organized, and it'll be a lot more fun. I'm glad we bought the inner tubes, and you know, was able to get a little floaty time on the river. So make sure you check that out too. I don't think there's as many people, Missy Jen, that do as many different things on a YouTube channel as we do.
That's right.
Trying to always do things positive and in a fun manner.
That's correct.
You don't always have to be hurting people and bashing people to feel like you're contributing and doing some good content. Let's get to it though for today's video. It's very interesting. This is called the Ripley's Believe It or Not here. And Missy Jen, Robert Ripley, the creator of Ripley's Believe It or Not, is a Santa Rosa native. And he's born there. One of my earliest videos I did on the other channel was going to his grave and seeing on his grave here in Santa Rosa, where on the corner of the gravestone it says "Believe It or Not" on it. Pretty cool to find a native Santa Rosan here that achieved such prominence in the world. And of course, Missy Jen, we still have the Robert Ripley museums in many places around the nation. So in the spirit of that, we thought it would be interesting. We got a request on the Gmail today, said, why don't you girls tell us some unusual, some hard to believe things about yourselves today? That might make a fun hangout. So we're calling this Fun Facts, Believe It or Not, Fun Facts about us that you may find hard to believe. So Missy Jen, I'm going to let you go first. I think you got about 3 of them. And I think I picked 5 of them. So go ahead and do your things that most people would find pretty hard to believe.
Well, the first one is that I have been in 10 countries.
Count them, baby. 10 countries
so far in my short life. I'm not even a half a century old, and I've already been in 10 countries.
Isn't that awesome? Woo. Including Mexico. You finally made your way.
Including Mexico, that's right.
You finally made your way into Mexico. I almost said Texaco, you know. Okay, there's number 1.
Then another fun fact is that I was married once.
Married once, and you were the guy in that
I was the guy in the operation.
Why don't you show him a picture of it? She's like, nah, I don't think I will, but yeah, you were married, you know.
I was married.
Yeah, few people know that Missy Jen was married. And how many years were you married, Jen?
Married for 2.5 years. And prior to that, in a happy relationship with that person for 5 or 6 years.
Okay, so like 7 years you were together. That's pretty cool, because we're coming up to our we're well in our 5th year of
then
you being here. So
I was actually after that still with that person together. Anyways, so
now let's
the
talk
main
about
thing
your
is
last. Okay, go ahead.
that I was married once, because a lot of people don't know that.
A lot of people don't
And
know that.
then-
Now we're going to get to hardcore travel.
I actually saw a hangout, and somebody was featuring the city of Porridge, and I was like, I was there once, and that reminded me of
Now that's in Yugoslavia. It's a beach community.
a beach
right?
community in Croatia,
Croatia.
in Yugoslavia. And I was there before they had the big war going on with Milosevic.
Yeah, they had Bosnia and Serbia and right there.
And I had a big trip where I went by car all the way through Germany, through Austria, partially to Italy, into Croatia, to Porridge. So basically 4 countries. In my car, I had no hotel, no tent. I did it all with, if it was raining, I would stay in the car. And if it was not raining, all I would have is just a blanket on the ground. And that was it. And then a little camping stove, and I mean, it was hardcore camping, outdoor hardcore camping.
But probably very memorable, huh?
And it was very memorable, seen a lot of amazing things, and was almost killed in a major storm by lightning. The lightning hit a what do you call them again? A log cabin. We actually had parked my car about 50 yards from a log cabin, and I had laid next to the car, and it started raining, and it was dark, and then all of a sudden lightning hit that cabin, and I tell you, the ground shook. It was like a bomb went off right next to me, 50 yards away. I tell you, I got in my car and I spent the rest of the night in the car. Anyways, that was the another really memorable trip. And yeah, I spent 7 days all around trip to 4 countries, and made it from Porridge to the Navy, went to the Navy port in Pula, and around there along the coastline and everything, and saw a lot of amazing stuff.
Now, a lot of people know you speak with an accent. You're not really born in the United States, but you also, nice fact is you speak fluent German, reading, writing,
Jawohl.
and the whole thing. So you
Ich spreche auch flüssig Deutsch.
so
En ook een klein beetje Nederlands. Praat, jawel. A little bit of Dutch.
yeah. So when she comes around,
So
and
when I come around,
whenever she starts yakking in German around here, it's like, I know I am in trouble. Well, that's a good segue to me. Now, a lot of people know that I speak Chinese. I spent 5 years in China, so it's a good chance to get to some of my interesting things that you may not know about me. And first of all, one of the most interesting things, Missy Jen, is I applied for 2 things in about 10 years after I got out of college. I was looking for a real change, and I applied to the CIA and I applied to the FBI. Well, I got through several rounds of the CIA and went down to stay at a hotel in Washington, D.C. and went through, you had to go through lie detector batteries and things like that. And they got to questions of sexuality or something like that. And then all of a sudden it was over, Thanks for coming down, and a good happy trails. Here's your voucher. Go cash it in, and thank you for coming down, and please remember to vote in the next election. But I did also apply to the FBI, Missy Jen, and just after I got to Hong Kong in 1991, I received a letter that I had been accepted into the FBI Academy at Quantico, Virginia. But of course, at that time, I was already probably making double what I would have made in the FBI. And I didn't have to dodge bullets and shit like that. So it was an interesting factoid about me. What's another interesting factoid, Missy Jen, is that I'm 60 years old and I've never bought a new car in my life. Everything I've bought has been used, partially because I enjoy, of course, as you guys know, restoring things, but also because I always felt like the value was in late model and not so late model used cars. So I've never had that new car smell unless it's like Bobby's truck or something like that. So okay, Rosie's never bought a new car. So let's get on to this thing. Another interesting factoid about me, Missy Jen, and a lot of people aren't going to believe this, but I've never taken a sick day. In all the years I've been working, all through high school and college, and my working career, I never took a sick day. And Missy Jen, around here, we never get sick on the rancho. We never, Jen, of course, battles her MS, but we've never had a day where we didn't answer the call and get out of bed and do our duty.
We have to do. That's correct.
So I'm very proud of that. That I've answered the bell every single work day. Of course, unless I'm on vacation or something like that. So kind of an unusual thing. Okay. I can't even read my. Oh, here's another interesting one too. I've never smoked a joint in my life. Never smoked a joint, believe it or not. I've never smoked a joint. I was always a drinker from a very young age, and number one, I did not enjoy the smell of marijuana burning. I was a cigarette smoker, and number two, I always enjoyed alcohol and always found it easier to get the booze and stuff out of my parents' liquor cabinet, and it was a lot harder back then to get involved in marijuana. So I've never smoked a joint, believe it or not. Another interesting thing to say is I'm probably the only person on YouTube can ever say that they went eyeball to eyeball with the great Howard Hughes. Okay, now of course Howard Hughes was the movie mogul. He made Marilyn Monroe great. He started TWA Airlines. He owns half of Las Vegas. They still have the Howard Hughes Corporation down there. What you guys don't know is my uncle was a big national printing salesman for a company. And he did a lot of the early work in Las Vegas for promotional literature and things like that. They had a very fancy Heidelberg presses and things that cost a ton of money that were all imported from Germany. And the quality of their work was great, so it was very easy for him to sell really high quality printing. And he would go all over the nation, and he made a fortune doing that as a salesman. He was totally only commission, and some years back in the 1950s and 60s, he would clear $250,000. So consequently, he loved going to Las Vegas a couple times a year, and our family didn't have anything. And he would take one of us every year to Vegas just to kind of help my parents out. My parents were always like, oh, take him, take him down there. So one time he used to stay at Wilbur Clark's Desert Inn, which was one of the early, where the Encore and the Wynn sit today, was the Desert Inn. And I think it was like sometime in 1960s, because he used to go out in the 50s and they would take him out. You could actually watch the nuclear tests over And that was until about 1968 or something that people could go out to the desert. And actually, we're a little out of focus. They could actually watch the nuclear test blast out there. So one year he took me out there, and he would be comped at Wilbur Clark's Desert Inn. And one night we were down. They didn't really have buffets at that time. They had very elegant. This was very elegant. It's like you see in some of the Goodfellas and other movies. The ladies would have the white gloves on, and they would have their hats, and everybody was very stylish. You know, you didn't have any low lives or people laying in the gutters and stuff like that. It was all very high fashion then. And I remember one time we were going down to dinner, and I had my little monkey suit and my little bow tie on down there, and I got hauled down to dinner. I had to be about 9 years old or something. And we were down making our way across the casino floor. And I think Wayne Newton was appearing or something like that. So it was very crowded there. And then all of a sudden, as we're walking across the casino floor, a whole bunch of guys come up and start pushing people out of the way. You know, just taking people and just forcibly making an owl going through the casino.
Yeah, you're blocking this.
Yeah, sorry. And I was like, you know, at a young age, I'm just trying to say how these guys, I just can recall it like it's yesterday. They just started putting up these ropes and pushing the people out of the way. And all of a sudden, walking in the middle of this group is a tall guy with dark hair. And I'm thinking, this is like a king. This is like a king or somebody, like maybe the president's here or something. Something like that. So, you know, I was kind of miffed because I was pushed out of the way. And I'm a ghetto kid. I'm a tough kid. And all of a sudden, you know, here comes a guy through. And I turned to my uncle and I said, kind of blurted out loud, wow, you know, this guy's a tough guy. You know, he pushes all the guys out of the way and stuff like that. And I said real loud, what a dick. You know, really loud. And I know at that moment that Howard Hughes turned his eyes and looked at me standing behind that velvet rope. And you could have heard a pin drop in that place, because I know 50, 60 people had to hear that. You could have heard a pin drop for about 5 seconds. Looked at me, never smiled, never did anything. And then just turned and started moving forward again with his entourage. Well, I want to tell you what, my uncle, at that time, they didn't have all the limitations on disciplining a kid, right? My uncle's like, you wait till you get out, you know, he's kind of a ventriloquist. You wait till you get up in the in the room. I mean, he whooped my ass, you know, and then we ended up laughing about it years later. All right, the last thing I think is interesting. I think that's very interesting, Missy Jen. I'm sure, yeah. I'm quite sure I'm probably the only person on YouTube that ever went eye to eye with the great Howard Hughes and called him a dick, right? And what a dick, you know? Yeah. Well, that's kind of an interesting story. So anyway, the last thing, Missy Jen, is kind of interesting too, is people always say, oh, Rosie, you have a lot of skin on YouTube and stuff like that, you and Missy Jen. But unbelievably, Missy Jen, of 12,000 plus videos that we put up, 12,000, two things, we've never gotten a copyright strike on them. And number two, and more fascinating, is I've never, ever gotten a bikini strike ever. And people find that hard to believe. But, you know, YouTube, if they're covered up at the top, if the dots are covered and the triangle's covered, you are good to go. So unbelievably, I've gotten flagged a lot of times for that, but not one has ever struck. Very interesting. Anyway, guys, I think that you'll agree that was a very fascinating upload. Thank you for Maurice for suggesting that from New York City. I think that you'll find that very interesting. We want to thank you for being along. Once again, don't forget to check out the videos. We always have more adventures ahead. And Missy Jen, I think we're going to have another one tonight. too. So
That's
stay tuned.
right.
Okay. Nobody brings you more daily entertainment on YouTube than we do. Thanks for being along, everybody, and your thumbs up are appreciated. And don't forget those links down below for Amazon. We still have a lot of people shopping on them from UK, Canada, and the US. Doesn't cost you another dime, but it sure puts Missy Jen a smile on her face. Thank you, everybody.